Hey y'all, I am back and I have more of the series Haunted for you guys. If you missed my last video about this, basically this is a series on Netflix. It's a docudrama, kind of. It is a docudrama. I don't like calling it that because I hate docudramas, but I really like this. But it's a docudrama about people's real paranormal stories, and I thought it would be cool if I sat down and I watched each of the episodes and I recited them back to you guys. I really like filming these videos because it feels like I'm telling my own story and I'm not really reading something verbatim. Like, I do take notes. I got a lot of notes on this one. I do take notes, and so I don't miss any details in the story, but I feel like I'm telling my own story and I really like that. I went back to season 1 and we're starting with the first episode. This is called The Woman in White. So this is a story told by a man named Jason. He starts his story by talking about his childhood, and he talks about how his mom did her best to shield them from the fact that they were poor. They were living in motels, in and out of motel rooms, and he recalls his earliest memory. So they were in the motel's restaurant eating breakfast, their whole family, and they see a man run out of one of the motel rooms, completely naked and covered in blood. This man proceeds to kill somebody in the parking lot by taking the axe to the back of their head, and then charges the restaurant, tries to get into the restaurant, and he remembers people just blocking the door as he's trying to get through these glass doors with the axe. The police arrive, they do end up shooting him in the parking lot, and that is his earliest memory. For them, that was their final straw. They decided to find a place they could call home, and they ended up moving into an apartment in Anaheim. When he got there, he could tell the neighbors were giving him some sort of look, but he couldn't tell what the look meant. They weren't greeting him, they weren't being welcomed, but they also weren't looking at them in anger. So they end up moving into this apartment, and it's a little uncomfortable, but they're not sure why. And this is where the haunting begins. It all starts with the closet doors. So it shows a flashback of Jason brushing his teeth in his bedroom, and his closet doors had already been closed. He closed them every single night, and they just open by themselves. So nervously, he walks over, he closes the doors, and he runs to his bathroom. Comes back out of the bathroom, and the doors have opened again. Within weeks, that feeling of being uncomfortable only got worse. Now, not only were the closet doors opening by themselves, he was now hearing whispers saying his name. And of course, being a child, he was terrified, so he went to his mother, who told him it was probably the neighbors, it was probably a TV, and not to worry about it, which made him feel like absolute shit. He tried to talk to his friends about it, and they all laughed at him. Nobody would take him seriously. Nobody would believe him that these things were happening. So he learned to just stop talking about it, and that's when things got worse. At this point in time, his parents noticed that he was starting to sleepwalk, and it shows a flashback. I believe it was a dream that he had. Sometimes things are a little bit out of context in the episode, but I'm assuming this was a dream that he had. But while he was sleepwalking, he was walking to a bathroom, and in the bathtub is a boy. And I'm almost positive the boy is him. And when he approaches the boy in the bathtub, because he's facing away from him, the boy turns around and he has like a cut in his head, a very big gash in his head. At that point, he's woken up, I believe by the neighbors. I don't know, it's kind of confusing when you're watching the show. It was an older man, but it didn't look like his father because it shows his father in the episode. But it looked like the neighbor who was looking at him at the beginning of the story when he first moved into the apartment. It looked like his neighbor. So I don't know if he left the apartment, no idea. But it looked like the neighbor had woken him up and he went back home. After the sleepwalking began, he had this horrible feeling that something very bad was going to happen, like a premonition. And it was emanating from the closet. And one night, he's laying in bed, and the closet doors start to shake, the handles on the door start to rattle, and the doors open. And inside the closet is a woman hanging. The whispers are starting, they're saying his name, and her eyes open. He said there was a sense of hatred in her that he could feel so deeply, and that was his first encounter seeing her, and that would happen every single night. He was 8 years old at this time, and nobody would listen to him. He went to his father to tell him what had happened, and he ended up punching him in the face. He hit him for trying to tell him that something was seriously wrong. He talks about how these are the people who are supposed to love and protect you, but nobody was listening and nobody would help him. And it only gets worse. A little while later, the same thing happens again, where the closet doors shake, they open to the woman hanging in the closet, but this time the rope breaks and she falls to the floor. She begins crawling towards Jason while he is in bed. And it's terrifying the way they portray it. And I'm assuming they're portraying it the way that he remembers it. And it's exactly like you would see in a horror movie where she's really contorted and she's crawling towards him. And it's absolutely terrifying. And it shows in the scene him fainting, I'm assuming from fear. And so I can only imagine that that's what actually happened. Now this became the nightly routine. One of his friend's dad suggested that he join the church and he pray to God and tell God what is happening. So Jason thought this might actually work. He got himself baptized, he went to Bible study, he prayed every single night, but nothing worked. So at one point, he went from praying to God to cursing God, thinking, if there really is a God, how are you allowing this to happen to me? This all happened every night for 6 years. So at one point, he just stopped sleeping. He can no longer sleep in his bedroom. And he recalls going to a garage sale and finding a Ouija board. So him and his friends decide to use the Ouija board. They all put their fingers on it like you're supposed to. And it just spells hurt you over and over and over again. And he felt like he was in so much danger at that point. Then we get another scene showing Jason in the bathtub. And keep in mind, he is now older at this point. He's in the bathtub and the bath starts to fill with blood. And he doesn't notice at first. He has his eyes closed, he's rubbing his face, and when he pulls his hands away from his face, he notices the blood on his hands. He looks down and sees all of the blood in the bathtub. He freaks out, rightfully so, gets out of the tub, and his mom comes in to help him clean it up. She doesn't say a word to him. But he remembers that she gave him a look at one point, like she was aware. She knew something was happening, but it's almost like she was in denial. They really struggled with their bills. They were never on time for rent, and he thinks maybe his parents were scared that if he said anything bad about the place or if he caused any trouble, they would be kicked out. So then years go by and things start to get worse in his home life. His dad starts drinking more. His mom ends up getting pregnant. So his mom pushes to move back to Bakersville, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's where they're from before, where the rent is cheaper and they have family around. Needless to say, Jason was very excited to move. But as they're moving, when they're in the lobby, the maintenance man makes a comment and says, "I'm surprised you guys lasted so long." Apparently, a woman had killed her 2 children and then hung herself in the closet within a week of them moving into that apartment. They were in the process of changing the linoleum from all the blood in the bathroom, changing the carpets in the room where she had hung herself because she hadn't been found for days. And at that point, he realized everybody knew. The landlord knew, the maintenance man knew, his neighbors knew, his friends' parents knew, maybe his parents knew, and nobody would listen to him. He was tormented for 6 years. 6 years. So they do end up moving to a house in Bakersville, and he thinks everything's over. It's okay now. He started going to school, he met some neighborhood kids, everything was going great, and he had finally started to let his guard down. And then one night, he's riding his bike with his best friend, and it's foggy outside, and he sees her in the fog, and the whispers start, and he can see her so clearly, and then he gets hit by a car. From what the flashback shows, it's a hit and run, so the car doesn't stay. His best friend runs to his side, and he brings him back to his house. And he says, when they get back to his house, his friend is frantically telling his mom, "We need to call 911, we need to get an ambulance, we need to take him to the hospital." And his mom is just sitting there, staring blankly into nothingness. And at one point, she turns her head, and she's looking at Jason, but she's not seeing him. And she's saying over and over again, "You're supposed to be dead. You're supposed to be dead." It's like she was possessed by the woman in white. And he had just missed death by an inch. And so he thinks it's not over. She came with me. She followed me. And he talks about how people always assume that places are haunted and not people, but that's not always the case. So as things are obviously getting worse, he starts to think that maybe at one point someone he loves is going to get hurt, so he runs away. He rarely stayed in the same place for more than one night. He thought, if I keep going, I can outrun her. And then he met a girl, and they ended up having a baby, and life was good. Years had passed, and he thought, I finally got away. But of course, that's not the end. He was working at a bowling alley, and he was leaving work one night. As he's walking into the parking lot, he senses a presence, and that's when she appears. The whisper stirred up again, and he faints. He died in that parking lot, but he was brought back to life. When he was taken to the hospital, they told him dehydration mixed with heat stroke killed him in the parking lot. He's very lucky to be alive. And he says when he woke up in the hospital, he felt this huge sense of relief, almost as if he was free. He didn't feel connected to her for the first time since the first grade. He thought, she got what she wanted. I died. He talks about this theory that he has. He believes that the woman may think that he was one of her children and that she hadn't finished what she started. And so he thinks maybe that's why she was attached to him for so long and wanted him to be dead so badly. And it's cool. I talked about this in the last video, but while they're telling their story, they're surrounded by people that they love, their friends, their family, and his daughter is actually there. And so is, I think his wife. I think it's his wife. I don't know. But one of the people says, "So that was the last time you saw her?" And he says, "No." After so long of believing that it was finally over and not even feeling connected to her, a few days ago, he woke up and she was standing next to him in bed. And this was obviously filmed quite a while ago, so I'm not sure how much time has passed since then, but at the time of telling the story, it had only been a few days since he had seen her last. He felt that same hatred that he felt when he was 8 years old, seeing her for the first time. And he thought, I'm not going to be able to cheat death much longer. And he was scared. That was actually the first time he had told anyone in his family, including his daughter, that she was back and that he was seeing her again and that he didn't know what to do and that it wasn't over. He reads a Bible verse basically saying, you don't get to know when or why you die. It just happens. And that's actually the end of the episode. And I would really like to know if he's, first of all, alive, but I want to know if he's still seeing her, because it seems like every time he has some sort of incident where he's close to death or something terrible happens, like when he moved, for example, I guess that's not a terrible thing, but when he moved, for example, he stopped seeing her for like X amount of time. And then when he cheated death, he didn't see her, and then, you know, all that stuff. So I'm curious if there's like these huge like chunks of time where I don't know. I'm curious if he hasn't seen her. I don't know. I don't think anything I just said made any sense. Sorry. I really enjoyed that episode. These are so amazing to me and they're so well done. Like I said at the beginning, I hate docudramas. Also, I don't want to sit on my knees anymore, so I'm gonna be like, whatever. I hate docudramas. I think they're so cheesy and so lame. But these are so well done and they really catch your attention. Like, they're amazing. Like, I highly recommend watching these. I really liked the last one that I did because that was the first one I had ever seen and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. But I really liked this one. But I feel horrible for this man because he's still going through it to this day, I would assume. And I can't fucking imagine. Like, I absolutely cannot imagine. Sorry, I'm gonna throw the F word in there because I'm scared. And I totally, oh my gosh, I was laying in bed last night and I totally could envision the woman in white in like my bedroom. Like, I was so terrified because I watched the episode twice. I watched it once just to watch it, and then I watched it the second time to take notes. And so I'm like terrified in my bed. I'm like, I can't open my eyes, she's gonna be here. And if you guys didn't know, I was gonna say this at the beginning, but I didn't want to like give any spoilers, but you might know this. A woman in white is typically someone who has killed their children and then killed themselves. So it's a very common like urban legend, but I don't think it's an urban legend. I believe it's 100% true. And so that's who was haunting him. That's like the whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really like filming these videos. So I really hope you guys enjoy watching them. If you don't, let me know and I'll stop. But I am gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Also, guess what? My birthday is coming up. I think you're gonna see this video on Friday. My birthday is on Monday. I'm very excited, except I'm turning 27, which is such an ugly number. Whatever. Turning 27, which is weird because I still feel like I'm like 22. Like, I don't think I've like progressed past being 21, 22 in my life. I really don't think so. But I will be 27. I'm excited for my birthday because I'm going to a cat cafe, which I've never been before, and I'm so excited. And then we're doing some other stuff too. My friend Paige is coming into town, and then obviously I have my friends who are here. And so it's gonna be a fun little weekend. We're celebrating over the weekend because my birthday is on a Monday, so I can't really do much on Monday. And then we're gonna have a Euphoria night on Sunday for the finale, which, bitch, I can't. I don't want it to be over because they said it probably won't continue until like 2024. Like, what? I can't wait that long. I can't. Especially because I know that something's gonna happen that's gonna be left on a cliffhanger. I know it. I know it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. My birthday is coming up. I'm almost the birthday bitch. And I think I don't know. I don't really like going out, but I think I want to go out on Saturday. I don't know. I don't know. Also, I went to a concert, which is really exciting because I have been like, okay, I used to go to concerts all the time when I was in like middle school and early high school. I would go to concerts all the time. I loved them. And I have been like weirdly afraid of going to concerts for a while now. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It just made me really anxious, the thought of it. But I went to a Mayday Parade concert last weekend, and it was so much fun. It was so fun. I had a great time. I wasn't anxious at all. I had a couple drinks. I sang along, and it was such a fun time. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. And I was like, I'm a concert bitch again. I'm going to every concert there is in Arizona. Every single one. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very proud of myself because that was something that I was very fearful of and something that made me really anxious, and I feel like I've overcome that, which is really exciting. Also, I have been working out, which is cool. Not really, it kind of sucks. It's really boring, but I'm trying to get into shape because I am really out of shape. Like, it's embarrassing how out of shape I am. So I've been working out. I bought a treadmill, because, okay, hear me out. I started going to a gym that's pretty close to me, and it was so busy all the time. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to do with all the people, and I also hate leaving my house. And so I bought a treadmill because I'm doing 12 to 3:30. So I bought a treadmill. It's in my guest room, or it's in my, I don't know, one of my extra bedrooms. I don't know. I bought a treadmill, and I've been working out consistently for about a week and a half when I'm filming this. I'm filming this on Tuesday. And so hopefully by Friday, it'll have been like 2 weeks of consistency. And I'm really proud of myself because I am so horrible at working out. But 12 to 3:30 is really easy. If you don't know what it is, it's like you go on the treadmill, 12 incline, 3 speed for 30 minutes. But because I'm just starting, I'm doing 12 incline and 2 speed for like 30 minutes, but I split it up. I do 15 and 15. So I work out like twice a day. So I'll do 15 minutes in the morning, like 15 at night, because I can't do all 30 at once. It's too hard for me at this point in time because I'm just starting it and I'm really out of shape. But yeah, I'm proud of myself. And I've been rambling for a very long time. I just felt like I had a lot to say. I don't know, but I'm gonna fucking go. Sorry, I've been saying that word a lot. Sorry, see ya!